Harvard University announced yesterday that it will be going fully online in the fall for the entire school year. So undergraduate tuition, however, remains exactly at $49,653. And what's interesting, Krystal, is that other Ivy League universities, I think Princeton University, announced that they will allow students to come back for either the fall or the spring. So like the freshmen can come in the fall. It's like socially distant dorms, and so that the whole campus won't be full. So you'll come for 6 months, then you'll have to leave, and then the other students get to come in for the other 6 months. But guess what's not changing here? Tuition. I think this sparked a lot of debate online, and what I'm really fascinated by is it's the final admission from Harvard that you're not paying for the education. All you're paying for is a degree. That's
100%.
it. All you're paying for is the H stamp and the Harvard alumnus database and Harvard on your LinkedIn page for the rest of your life. And Harvard knows. They're like, what are you going to do? Leave?
Right.
Like, you're not going to go anywhere.
No.
It's the amazing power flex to be like, you owe us 50 grand to sit in your parents' living room and sit on Zoom for an entire year.
And watch the courses that are available
you can watch on YouTube
online already.
You can watch on YouTube. I watch some of these Harvard and Yale lectures on YouTube all the time. It doesn't matter.
It is so revealing.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things about this crisis. I mean, it's revealed so much. And this final straw of sort of mystique around the college experience in general, but the Harvard experience in general is just ripped up. Completely naked.
Well, because they finally just admitted it.
Yeah, exactly.
They admitted why people even want to go in the first place.
Completely naked, that you're not getting anything really particularly special here. Nope. There's nothing magical about the education you're getting at Harvard. I'm sure it's a good education.
It's good.
I'm sure it's good, and the students work really hard, and you've got really intelligent minds. I'm not denigrating the students. But what are you paying for? You're paying for that stamp that you get that really does give you access to all kinds of circles. I mean, you can ride on that for
your rest of your life.
The rest of your life. The fact that you have Harvard on your resume opens every door possible to you. And so, but the fact that it really is unconscionable. Think about how wealthy this school is. How big is their endowment? It's
billions.
Insane.
It's bigger than the size of some African nation's GDP.
And it costs, so I happen to know a little bit about this online education. I mean, obviously, this is not rocket science. It's so much cheaper to just provide online education. It doesn't cost a fraction of what a brick and mortar education would cost. And so the fact that they're keeping it $50,000 is just, it's gross. And by the way, look, most of the students that go there are privileged, but they're not all privileged. You're saddling these kids with tens and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. Why are you doing that?
Well, one of the things we really need to learn, too, is what are the universities that actually launch working class Americans into the higher class?
Yeah.
You know what they are? City College of New York system, the SUNY system.
We've covered that here.
Exactly. It's these community and working class colleges, which are the biggest launchers of Americans from the ability to work their way up on a cheaper education, still not cheap enough, from the working class into the professional class. And I think that is what we should, because so much of this hand-wringing, Harvard, look, Harvard's not launching anybody from anywhere, maybe 1 out of 500 students. It's in these community colleges that people are actually able to work their way up and credentialize themselves into, often with real skills and trade skills and all these other things that are real benefit to the economy. And I think that if anything could come of this, we could learn which schools matter to the actual poor and working class Americans. It's not Harvard. Everybody cares about Harvard and Yale and all this stuff because that's where everybody in the media and in the elite went, or they know people who went there, or they want to send their kids there. But to me, that's where all my focus is.
Yeah, I mean, the class at Harvard, all of the Ivy League institutions basically have done a terrible job at any sort of class diversity. Yeah. I mean, they've just, it's mostly for the privilege. You get the few, diamonds in the rough that get pulled out, and then they get to be the American dream story, and so we can all pretend this is a fair and just system that we have. It's not, and I know that you all aren't fooled by that. At the same time, we're getting new regulations from ICE. So ICE has basically held off on forcing international students to have to go home during the pandemic, even though, in some cases classes were suspended. In many cases, they were online only. Now they're saying that in the fall, if schools are online only, international students are going to have to leave. And I just think that I think it's really mean-spirited. I think it's detrimental to the country. But just more, I feel really bad for these kids.
I feel bad for them.
They planned their whole lives around these schools. They've set up their whole expectation of where they're going to be and what they're going to do. do, this is going to throw a lot of lives into chaos, and in my view, needlessly so.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel bad for them, but nobody has a right to live in America. And also, like, what's the point of a student visa? If you're not here to study, like, what are you doing? One of the biggest, immigration frauds in the country is student visas and people here on tourist visas who overstay. So I understand why they're doing it. I mean, you have an entire year in which you don't really need to be in the country. And I think this is a bigger conversation around, Harvard University, of course, protested this. These universities print money off of foreign students who are coming here, being exploited, by the way, because they are having to pay full freight tuition, $50,000 a year, $60,000 a year, in any of these places. And these are public universities, in many cases, who have made it so that a lot of their luxury goods are printed off of Chinese and Indian students, not off of actual Americans. So in many cases, it is better and more beneficial for some states in order to admit foreign students than it is to admit an American, because the foreign student is going to pay full freights. And again, look, I don't blame foreign students for wanting to come here, but I know people who were in China who were studying there and the Chinese kicked them out. I mean, that's how it goes sometimes. Again, I feel bad, but you don't have a right to live here.
Of course, you don't have a right to live here, but you're throwing people's lives into chaos. And for a lot of people, it's, but they're already here. Yeah. It's not like they're spreading the disease. They're not bringing the disease in. In fact, potentially they're bringing the disease back home and spreading it to other countries. No, I mean, I think the bottom line here is sure, we could talk about the bigger system, but you're using people's lives as pawns. For some people, sure, it might be easy to just go home and take it online. For others, it's not. I mean, one of the articles I read interviewed a number of students who, going back to where they live, first of all, it's a place where, like us, has unchecked pandemic, so it's not really particularly safe for them health-wise. There's not easy internet access. Again, people have really structured their lives and set up their entire existence around the plan of being in school for these years, and now you're throwing all that into chaos, and I don't really see the benefit.
I mean, I feel bad for them.
It's mean-spirited.
I feel bad for them. I also feel bad for every student in America. So,
sure.
That's really what it is.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely. All right, more Rising for you after this.